Let me ask an incredibly stupid financial question, right? So if you're air quote fleeing from a country from oppression, right, or authoritarianism or subjugation, you the way I would understand it is you don't have a lot of economic resources as an individual. So when you start talking about like 30, 40K, like who's how how do they afford it? Is someone paying for it? And how do they pay it back?
And then on top of that, if they have that much resources and money, why would they risk their life through the Darien Gap?
Good questions. I mean, I've asked all those questions, as you can imagine, many, many times. There's different people that get in there different ways. A lot of them have their own money, right? Most of the Chinese say they pay for their own way. There are some Chinese who come over as indentured servants. That's like a firmware part of their culture. Actually, a lot of Indians will do that as well.
Okay.
So they'll come over kind of as an indentured servant. And so like a lot of the Chinese go up and work on marijuana farms in places like Maine and Oklahoma and Oregon, California, that sort of thing. And then others go work like restaurants or that sort of thing. But there's others that are, I mean, you see them, you're like, this guy's like, some of them, they look like military officers or intelligence officers to me, like MSS people or something. MSS is like their CIA, Ministry of State Security. Some of them seem like, very serious military or intelligence types. But others, it's clear that they're not like farmers. It's clear that, just the way they behave, the way that they, and Chinese, when they come through the Darien Gap, they'll tend to be quite clean, actually, because what they'll do is they pay an extra amount to go a more expensive route. They land in Quito, Ecuador. They get on that bus. They go up to Colombia. They go to a place called Nicocli, Colombia, which I've done. And they get on from Nicocli. I've done that part. Then they get on a boat and they go to a place called Cartagena, Colombia, and then I've done that part. And then they'll pay more and they'll take a boat around most of the gap. And then they'll go with these Indians called the Kuna Indians. I've been out with the Kuna quite a lot. And the Kuna will guide them through the jungle in a very safe route. I've never heard of any Chinese dying on that route or getting raped or anything on that route because it's a big money route, right? It's the premium route. And they'll have people carrying their bags and stuff. And some parts of that trip, they'll actually use horses on some parts of that, on that particular route. And then they'll come out and they'll end up in San Vicente camp, China camp. And, but when they come out, they will have clothes that they've kept in plastic bags and they throw those other clothes away in the jungle. So they come out clean. They're not scratched up. You're soldiers. You know how it gets when you get out in the jungle or the woods all the time. You're all scratched up and stuff. Most people are coming out like that, scratched up and kind of messed up a little bit. Not the Chinese and not anybody that's taking that easy route. A lot of the Iranians take that easy route as well. A lot of the Afghans take the easy route. Chinese, Afghans, a lot of the Iranians. Who else takes that route? But those several groups do it every day.
You can go.
No, I was just going to say, with so many nationalities, right? People flying from all over, millions coming up to the United States through Panama. It's almost like there's some cooperation there, right? So what I think of is like during COVID, right? The whole world locked down together, right? All the governments kind of were in
like in a few days, they were all like, we agree.
Yeah, it's a pandemic. Let's shut down certain businesses. Can't leave your home. Tracking, tracing, like all this stuff like around the globe happened at one time in coordination. Like there's some authority over all nations that give the marching orders, and all these nations you're like, Roger that, let's do this. So I think of the same thing with this mass invasion, that all these other nations are in collaboration to allow this to happen, or at least allow the funding or monies to go down through NGOs, third parties to facilitate this. I mean, logistically, what's the cost in the logistics of 30 million invaders? I mean, it's massive. It's got to be massive. So, I mean, what's the likelihood that, same thing like COVID, all these nations got together and say, okay, we're going to allow this to happen, the invasion to happen from the southern border, and because nothing gets in the way, nothing stops it.